Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing how Bitcoin is currently testing critical support. And we're not just talking any kind of support. Oh, wait a minute, guys, this chart is nasty. We're not just talking about any uptrend of support, guys. We're talking about a 4-year-long uptrend of support that Bitcoin has been sitting above since the beginning of 2016. Guys, this is a really big deal because overnight Bitcoin has finally done what we predicted was going to happen and has fallen down to this uptrend of support. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you the complete rundown on this downturn in Bitcoin. We're going to be discussing all of the relevant technical factors that are going into the next couple of days. We're also going to be discussing the possibility of a long squeeze on the Bitfinex longs, as they have now continued their rally up to over 44,000. And finally, guys, at the end of the video, we're going to come to what is hopefully a well-informed conclusion about the future of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets, because this is a very decisive point in Bitcoin. What happens over the next few days is going to dictate what's going to happen over the next few months, so I need you guys to pay attention. I highly encourage you guys to watch this video all the way through because this is an important one, guys, seriously. Anyway, before we dive on into it, I do want to ask you guys humbly to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 30,000 subs by the end of the year, and it looks like we just might do it. Like I told you, my overlords at YouTube are going to make me watch a 10-hour version of YouTube Rewind. And guys, I really don't want to do that. So please, just hit the subscribe button. It's down below. It's not that hard. And guys, if and only if you enjoyed today's video when you're done watching, please consider hitting that like button as well. Anyway, guys, without much further ado or cheesy, stupid jokes about YouTube Rewind, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Where to start? Well, we can start with a 4-year uptrend that Bitcoin has been above ever since the beginning of 2016. As you can see on the clean BLX chart here, we can take an uptrend of support and draw it from right there all the way up through this market back over here in early 2019 and right up to where we find ourselves right now. And if we zoom in, we see that Bitcoin is very quickly starting to come down to this level. And in fact, since the BLX chart is a day old, if we look at our Coinbase chart, Bitcoin is pretty much sitting right above this level right now. And guys, look, in yesterday's video right here, we talked about how Bitcoin will go back to $20,000 when these things happen. One of those things happening is that Bitcoin needs to put a bounce in, and Bitcoin needs to have exuberance return to the market. Many people are not very excited about the market, and movements in the market only happen because of technicals when the traders agree that they should, and they make trades based off of them. What that means is that support is only as strong as the long positions and the buyers and the bulls that are supporting the market, and building those buy walls will make it. At the end of the day, guys, you have to understand technical analysis is a science, and it's a very, very, very valid way of reading charts. But if no one is using the technical analysis, then no one is going to actually pay attention to it. And one of the problems I have with this uptrend, guys, to be quite honest, is that it's sitting on a log chart. And most people don't look at the log chart. They look at this chart, which is the automatic chart, the linear chart. So we're going to ignore that for right now. That doesn't mean that's not important. It's just something I want to get out of the way early on in the video. Because it's not just that level that Bitcoin is sitting above right now. Bitcoin is actually sitting above some very crucial support. As you can see, I've had this box drawn here on our chart for quite some time, and for good reason. It's a very important zone of support. It connects the obviously very important level of $6,000 that Bitcoin tested for the entirety of 2018 to the top, which is a massive VPVR climax sitting at $6,400, as you can see right here. There's a reason why Bitcoin has not rallied through the ceiling very quickly, and that's because we're sitting below some pretty strong VPVR resistance. But at the same time, guys, there's a reason that Bitcoin hasn't fallen through the floor either, and that's because we're sitting above some very strong support, hence the low volatility and the low volume over the last month. But guys, I'll tell you what I see happening in Bitcoin right now. Something reminds me of this market over here. Earlier on in November, we saw Bitcoin had a major rally. We're talking 45% in the span of about a day. President Xi Jinping of China said some bullish things about blockchain, and everybody went to the exchanges and decided that they were going to put their life savings into Bitcoin, because that's just what you do when China gets bullish on Bitcoin. I'm joking, of course. Please don't do that. Nevertheless, Bitcoin rallied, tried to bull flag out, and we fell over. And what we saw here is that Bitcoin traded sideways. It was still kind of deciding if it wanted the bulls or the bears to be in charge. And the bears said, yeah, we're going to crash the market. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And that's exactly how they said it also. And then we come over to the month of November, and Bitcoin does a very similar thing where we start trading sideways, and then our bearish momentum just starts picking up and up and up and up and up. And over the last 4 days, Bitcoin has lost more valuation than it had in the previous week and a half. When one of the factions, either the bulls or the bears, get in charge, what they tend to do is they tend to go exponential, and they tend to go all the way. They get all the power. They start moving. They start moving a little bit, and then the dominoes start falling, and a smaller domino hits a bigger domino, and a bigger domino, and a bigger domino. And pretty soon, Bitcoin's testing critical support as it is right now. So, okay, we get it. Bitcoin's testing critical support. So what? What are the technicals? Which way are we going, Jeb? I know that's what you're asking. Well, there's some interesting things going on the daily chart with both of our oscillators down here that I want to show you because they're actually conflicting. We've been discussing a bullish MACD cross for the last couple of weeks here. It did cross bullish back on the 1st of December. It was looking like we were going to have a nice Christmas rally, and then the bears were like, nope, JK, we're going to wait until April again, maybe. And then we'll have another April Fool's rally. I don't know. Nevertheless, Bitcoin continued trading to the downside here, and this bullish MACD cross, try as it might, was simply unable to maintain its bullishness, and we did in fact cross bearish yesterday. That is a bad sign for Bitcoin because the MACD is normally a lagging indicator, but because it's a lagging indicator, it can also be used as a confirming indicator. Bitcoin was already bearish, now the MACD's crossed bearish, and that confirms and that locks in that bearish trade. But guys, there is one thing that really interests me about this daily chart, and it's actually that there's bullish RSI divergence. I know. As you can see, we have two lows here if we use the candle bodies, which is one of the ways that you can use RSI divergence. We have a low right here back on the 22nd of November and the 17th of December. And on our RSI down here, we can see that we have a low at 22 on the 24th of November and a low where we are right now around 30. That's technically bullish RSI divergence. Now, before you go flaming me in the comment section, look, I realize a lot of times RSI divergence can be done on the wicks, not on the candle bodies. But even when it's done on the wicks, it's still interesting that the uptrend of the bottoms down here is much, much shallower than the uptrend of the bottoms down here on the RSI. This looks like bullish RSI divergence to me, although I will also be the first to admit that I don't think it's going to have any impact. I don't know that it's going to be able to save Bitcoin here. If Bitcoin's going to bounce, it's probably not going to be because of that bullish RSI divergence. I just wanted to let you guys know about that while we were here. One more thing I want to show you guys is this. It's that Bitcoin is testing a long-term uptrend of support, but that's not the only support that we're looking at. We've looked at the Fibonacci retracement and that golden pocket theory. Bitcoin at the moment, guys, is currently below it. As you can see, Bitcoin is sitting down here around maybe 69% on the Fibonacci retracement. We've fallen below the golden pocket. Now guys, look, it's very possible that Bitcoin bounces off of this long-term uptrend of support here and manages to return to at least something like $7,000 or a little bit higher, and it looks like we bounce in the golden pocket and we set a double bottom. That right there would be fine with me, but I'm not totally convinced that's going to happen. I just want to show you the Fibonacci retracement while we were here. You're welcome. But guys, there's one more thing that I want to show you actually, and it has to do with those leverage positions that we were talking about earlier. As you will probably know by now, the longs over here on Bitfinex are reaching pretty far into all-time high territory. We're up 80% in the last 28 days. That is absurd and pretty much a record. But guys, also remember that the Bitfinex longs are acting very strange right now. There are a lot of longs on Bitfinex, but you also have to understand that over on other exchanges like BitMEX, the shorts are up 55% to the longs 44%. On Binance, shorts are 73% of the market. Longs are 26% of the market. Bitfinex is acting very strange lately. I don't think these longs are indicative of anything other than the fact that there very well may be a long squeeze coming, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I want you to understand that the market is still, in general, deciding bearish. And guys, that leads me to one of my final points of today's video, and that is, in fact, those longs over here on Bitfinex. Because like I just showed you over here, those are real longs. That's $300 million worth of longs. And in the grand scheme of things with cryptocurrency, $300 million doesn't seem like a whole lot of money. Guys, you have to understand that the order books are relatively thin right now. Our volume's very low. There's not a ton of orders on exchange. And because of that, guys, if a long squeeze happens in the way that we've talked about here on the channel in past, it's very possible that that drives us below critical levels of support. Like this longer term uptrend right here, like this zone of support down here, like that Fibonacci level that we were talking about a second ago. A long squeeze is still very much in the cards here, guys, and especially if we drop below like $6,000, those longs are going to get wrecked. They're going to be closed at some point, guys, because the longs have been going up while price has been going down. That means that the vast majority of those longs at this point are in loss. They are not in profit, which means eventually people are going to start closing them, which means eventually people are going to start getting liquidated or stopped out, and they're going to have to cover those positions by selling Bitcoin and adding selling pressure to the market. That's why I keep saying we're in a precarious situation right now, guys, because when a jet takes off, sometimes it uses an afterburner to get off the runway quicker. When Bitcoin is trying to crash, sometimes it uses liquidation and stopped out longs to cause that crash to happen faster, and that could be what's about to happen here. Don't want to freak you out, just want to let you know that that is a possibility. Keep it in the back of your mind. Nevertheless, guys, where does this leave us? Well, I think we've done enough technical analysis here to come to some kind of conclusion that is well-informed and hopefully predictive of something. Well, guys, I'm going to be quite honest with you. The way this market looks, it looks like Bitcoin rallied from support and then came down and tested again, and frankly, it looks like Bitcoin should bounce here. And don't get me wrong, from a technical standpoint and from the way that I've analyzed this market and from everything I've seen, from the sentiment, from just everything in general, I want to say Bitcoin's going to break bearish below this uptrend of support, but at the same time, guys, if Bitcoin does, I could see us bouncing somewhere around $6,000 and being back up above it within a month. But let me show you guys something. I don't normally talk about altcoin charts, but I need to show you something that happened on the EOS chart over a year ago. Because I remember this vividly, guys. This is why experience matters so much in the markets. It's so important that you guys are analyzing markets and not just Bitcoin markets. I'm analyzing altcoin markets also. I just don't talk about them as much. Back about halfway through 2018, a year and a half ago, I remember this happening. I was watching the EOS chart because I was trading it as one of the EOS updates came out and we were trying to trade it. That was right over here, I want to say, in May and June of 2018. Made some decent profit on it, but I also remember that when EOS eventually did have that update and all the hype died down, so too did EOS's price action. And there was one technical that I was watching this entire time that I was trading EOS, and it was this uptrend right here. It was a long-term uptrend. We were talking about a year's worth of price action almost. I keep wanting to say Bitcoin. EOS rallied, came back down to it, reestablished it, rallied again, and then we were coming back down to it again right over here. And I wanted to buy right here, but something just told me, you know, uptrends eventually have to be broken, don't they? They can't just run into infinity. Because, I mean, if you extrapolate an uptrend like this out far enough, then eventually it's just going to go to a ridiculous price, and EOS or Bitcoin or whatever chart you're looking at just simply can't maintain it. Eventually, the uptrend has to be broken. It's just not possible for the market to stay above it forever. And because I understood that, I was able to not get in on a long position on EOS when a lot of people were getting in on a long position on EOS on this longer term uptrend right here. EOS broke it. And yeah, if you look at the rest of the history of EOS, EOS has never gone back to those highs, but Bitcoin's not like that, guys. No matter what happens on Bitcoin, Bitcoin is going to go back to its all-time high and Bitcoin is going to bounce. But at the end of the day, I want you to understand something. No matter what happens with this uptrend of support, it's but one technical indicator. I want you guys to remember what's said in the first cohort over here in the Trading Wisdom tab. Never trade one indicator. Always use more than one indicator to justify a trade. All indicators will give a false signal. And guys, you need to understand that it's very possible that Bitcoin falls below this uptrend of support, and in fact, it's not the end of the world. It's in fact not Armageddon, and the sky is not going to fall. And as I said in a video a couple weeks ago, San Francisco is in fact not going to slide off into the Pacific Ocean. It's not going to be the end of the world if Bitcoin breaks this uptrend, guys, because at the end of the day, the uptrend is going to be broken sometime, whether it's now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now, who cares? It's going to be broken at some point, and Bitcoin is going to recover no matter what one technical indicator says. So I want you guys to remember that, because at the moment I'm split. I could say that Bitcoin bounces here, or I could say Bitcoin breaks. What you need to do in those situations where the technicals aren't so clear, or when you yourself aren't so sure, is that you need to be prepared for both scenarios. You need to be set up with a long position and a short position if you're trying to trade this, or you can just stand back and watch and learn. No matter what happens, guys, just make sure you're being safe. Nevertheless, guys, there's one thing I want to talk about before we wrap the video out, and it's something that, you know, at the end of the video, when I start on these little rants of mine, I try to wrap it back into Bitcoin and technical analysis somehow. And I'll be honest with you, I really just can't think of a way to wrap this back into Bitcoin, but I'm going to say it anyway, and I think you guys are going to appreciate it. When I was growing up, my father told me several rules to live by. And one of those rules goes as follows. You'll always be remembered for the things you say and do. And guys, there's a reason that I try to be nice and polite to everyone that I come across. Like I mentioned this in a video about a week ago. In the movie Iron Man 3, Iron Man screws over some dude in 1997 or whatever, and 15 years later, all of a sudden the dude's a billionaire and almost kills him and his wife. Because he had a vendetta from a decade and a half ago because Iron Man, Tony Stark, treated him like crap. You're always going to be remembered for the things you say and do, and the people that you screw over today might be the ones that are holding power over you in the future. So if you're not going to be a good person for a moral reason, because, well, you're not a good person at heart, like hopefully we all are, then hopefully you'll try and continue to be a good person, as I know you are, because it's conducive to the best life for all parties involved. And by the way, I'm not convicting anyone, I'm not name-calling, I'm not trying to talk down anyone, it's just something that I was thinking about, something I want to put here at the end of the video because I thought it was really cool. I'm in no way calling anyone out for anything, okay? So please don't think that, guys. Just always remember that you're going to be remembered for the things you say and do, and also always remember to hit that like button, guys. I had to, I'm sorry. But anyway, guys, that is finally going to wrap it up for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.